Jesus' mighty name we are prayed. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you so much for that. I hope we're all ready for today's class. You have a notebook and pencil or pen to write down the memory verse or to write down the story, a summary of what seems interesting to you. And I also hope you have a Bible, especially if you may not be able to see what is on the screen. All right. For some time now, we've been looking at the story of Esther, but today we're going to start a different story. So I'd like us to answer these questions, okay? What do you think about people who go through difficult things? Or when you see someone going through a hard situation, like it looks really difficult, what do you think about it? Or what do you think about that person? Someone from church, answer yes, Mohammed. Pardon? Okay, Mohammed said that he feels bad for them. He feels sorry for them. Anyone else? Okay, someone from online. When you see someone going through a hard situation, like something bad suddenly happens to the person, what do you think? What comes to your mind? Pardon? Okay, someone said you pity them, or she pities them rather.
So I see Yoma raising up her hand, or is it Warner? Please go ahead. Either Yoma or Warner. Sheifumi and David, please stop writing on the screen. Thank you.
I've not prayed before.
Oh, okay. So maybe you pray the next time. Sheifumi, you remind me, okay? Warner will pray next week. So Auntie Esther asked.
What about in closing prayer? I want to pray.
Somebody in church will pray. Somebody in church will pray. So Auntie Esther asked the question. She said, what do you think about people who go through difficult things? Maybe we'll start by, what are some difficult things people go through? Let's Nifemi, can you give an example, Nifemi? What are some examples of difficult things people go through? Let's hear from Nifemi and Cheesy. What are some examples of difficult things people go through?
Schoolwork.
Okay, schoolwork. Okay, Cheesy.
The difficulties they go through maybe is losing their mother or father.
I didn't hear you.
Losing their mother or father.
Yeah, some people lose their parents. Maybe if somebody's mother dies or the father dies, that's a difficult time. So Sheifumi, you can answer now. What do you think about those who go through difficult things? When you see someone facing a difficulty in exam or someone that the father or mother died, what do you think?
Things that they may go through is like bullying, suffering, depression, and I may feel bad for them because I'm not really feeling what they are feeling. Probably what they are feeling is more like serious than I think.
All right,
something
then.
like that.
Guys.
Something like that, you know. Did
Sorry,
you hear me?
Sorry.
Yes, Sheifumi, thank you very much for sharing. David, can you please stop writing on the screen? Thank you very much. Auntie Esther, over to you.
Yes. So moving on to the next question, do you think this bad thing or hard thing happened to them because they deserve it? So someone gave an example here, like someone used to have a lot of money before, and then suddenly they became bankrupt. So they don't have money before, maybe they were rich, and then they're now poor. Do you think it is because they deserve it? Do you think they did something so that would happen to them? Okay, someone said, some people say yes and some people say no. They said someone may have misused their money or may have been proud and arrogant, and so they lost all their money. But some people said no, it may not have been their fault. So that actually answers our third question of what kind of people do you think, okay, actually, so what kind of people do we think go through hardship? Is there a specific kind of person that goes through hardship? Someone from online, can you answer this question for me? Raise your hand so I can see you, please. What kind of people go through hardship?
Adley, please go ahead. What kind of people go through hardship?
Poor people.
Okay, poor people, that's true. One more answer, one more chance.
Okay, Wana, what kind of people go through hardship? Wana,
People that cannot sleep at night.
people who don't sleep at night.
People who don't sleep at night, okay. Those are both very good contributions. But today we're going to learn that we can't really tell what kind of people will go through hardship. So our story for today is from Job. It's about Job. And we're going to learn that we can trust God even when we are suffering, even when we are going through hardship, even when bad things are happening to us. And today's memory verse comes from Job chapter 1, verse 1. Someone from church, please come and read aloud. And in the meantime, everyone else, please write down the memory verse so that you will memorize this for later, okay? Who would like to read? Miley will read for us from Job chapter 1, verse 1. And the rest of us can write it down so that we will remember it for later. Don't forget that I am unmuted. Class here. Yes. Come close to the computer. Just start reading from the beginning. Start reading. Let me see this. Start reading from the beginning.
There was a man in the land of
Us.
whose name was Job, and that man was
Blameless,
blameless and
upright.
upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. Job 1 verse 1.
Okay, thank you, Miley.
Okay, so we'll have Ayodi read it out loud. Ayodi.
There was a man in the land of whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil.
All right, thank you for that. I hope we're ready, or even if we are not, we'll come back to the memory verse later. Okay.
Auntie Esther, they are begging. Can we ask one more person to read?
Sure. Nancy, do you want to read? No.
AJ, would you like to read?
No, thank you.
All right. Okay, Auntie Esther, do you want someone there with you to read out loud?
Sure. Fatima, please come and read for us.
Auntie Esther, is somebody reading?
Can I read?
Sheifumi, you prayed. Let's give other people chance, okay? Thank you.
Okay.
So I see Samuel and Precious have joined. You're welcome. So, Babe, can you read out the memory verse out loud? Thank you. So, Babe, okay, I think Tobetiku is not ready. So, Kamso, please read out the memory verse for us.
There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, one who feared in God and turned away from evil. Job chapter 1, verses 1.
Thank you very much, Kamso. Auntie Esther, I think we can go ahead. Are you with us?
Yes.
Mrs. About when Nathan last lesson, he said that watching TV is not a skill. Some people can't even watch TV. I'm not joking. Like people who are blind. You know what I mean?
All right. Okay, Sheifumi. Can we read the book now? So please just follow the class instructions. We are taking turns. So I have to pick people that have not said anything in the class so that we can give other people chance to be active in class. If you have said anything, I wouldn't pick you. So we're going to take turns for reading. Okay, so Auntie Esther, I think she's having some network issues. So I will start with Nathan. Nathan, you read verse 1 to 3 of Job chapter 1. Precious, you will read verse 4, 8, and 9. Nathan, verse 1, 2, 3, Precious 4, 8, and 9. Then let me look for someone else who has not. Emmanuel, you read verse 10 and 11.
In the land of Uz.
Hold on. All right, let's start.
Hello?
Okay, please, well, just a minute. Nathan is going to read from verse 1 to 3.
In the land of Uz, there lived a man whose name was Job. This man was blameless and upright. He feared God and shunned evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000
David, stop.
camels, 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 donkeys, and had a large number of servants. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East.
Thank you very much, Nathan. Precious, verse 4, 8, and 9. Emmanuel, verse 10 and 11. Thank you.
4, 8, and 9. His sons used to hold feasts in their home on their birthdays, and they would invite their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied.
Thank you, Precious. Emmanuel, from verse 10. Emmanuel Eziani, verse 10 and 11.
No. Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has?
You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now, stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face.
Thank you, Emmanuel. So I'll pick others to read the next part. I don't know if Tobechukwu is ready to speak because I couldn't hear him. I have Kamso. Let me look up. Oh, I see Max is here with us today. Okay. So I have Chizzy, you read verse 12, 13, and 14. Max, you read 15 and 16. And then, let me see someone that has not read. Titi, you read verse 18 to 20. Did we get that? Okay. So Chizzy, verse 12 to 14, Max 15 and 16, Titi Layo, 18 to 20. Let's go.
The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, then everything he has is in your power. But the man himself do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. One day, when Job's sons and daughters were feasting and drinking at wine at the oldest brother's house, a messenger came to Job and said, "The oxen were plowing and the donkeys were grazing their barns."
Excuse me, I'm supposed to read 15 and 16.
Okay, Chizzy, thank you. Max 15 and 16.
And the servants attacked and made off with them. They put the servants' word, and I am the only one who escaped to tell you. Verse 16. While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The fire of God fell from the heavens and burned up the sheep and the servants. And I am the only one who escaped to tell you."
Thank you. I said Precious, right? No, Titi 18, 19, and 20.
While he was still speaking, another messenger came and said, "The fire of God fell from heavens and burned up the sheep and the servants. I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking and said, "Your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the elder brother's house, when suddenly a mighty wind swept in from the desert and struck the four corners of the house. It collapsed on them and they are dead. I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." At this, Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship.
Thank you very much, Titi. Auntie Esther, you're welcome back. So the next slide, the people in church will read.
All right, then. Do you mean this one?
Yes, from verse 21.
Okay. Amani, please come and read for us. Amani will read from verse 21 to chapter 2, verse 3, and someone else will read from verse 4 to 8.
And said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised."
No, we continue.
In all this, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. and he still maintains his integrity. Though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason.
Thank you, Amani. Moses will now read the rest of the verses from verses 4 to 8. Can we please find something?
Oh no, don't remove the bowl.
A man will give all he has for his own life. But now stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones, and he will seriously cause you to your face. The Lord said to Satan, very well, then, he is in your hands, but you must spare his life. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and afflicted Job with painful sorrows from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Then Job took a piece of broken pottery and scraped himself with it as he sat among the ashes.
Thank you.
And sister, get someone in church to read the last 2 verses.
All right. Hafsatu, come and read from verses 9 and 10 for us.
His wife said to him, are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die. He replied, you are talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble? In all this, Job did not sin in what he said.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for reading for us. So we're going to go through the story one more time. And
Max,
I'm sure
can you please stop writing on the screen? Thank you.
And I'm sure that we'll understand it very clearly by the end. So a long, long time ago, a man named Job lived in the land of Uz. He was known to be blameless and upright, a man who feared God and avoided evil. So to be blameless is to be without fault. That means a blameless person doesn't do anything wrong. And to be upright means to be honest. It means to always tell the truth. So he never cheated, he never lied, and he avoided evil. So he always ran away from anything that was wrong. So Job had 7 sons, 3 daughters, and 3 daughters, 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 donkeys, and many, many servants, because he obviously needed a lot of help to take care of all of his animals. So from what we have read so far, was Job living in obedience to God? Was he obedient? Okay, some people say yes, others are not so sure. But then how do you know? How do you know that he was obedient to God? Ellen? Yes, from the passage we just read, how do you know? Okay, he was good. But what's the word that I used? Yes, Abigail? Good, he was blameless. So we know that he was obedient to God because he was blameless. That means no one could accuse him of doing anything wrong. And we know that when we do wrong, we are sinning against God. But if we do what's right, then we're obeying God. Then one day, all the angels came to meet with God. And Satan was there because Satan was an angel as well. And God asked Satan where he had come from. And he answered, from roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it. So Satan had been going across the earth to each continent, to every country. And God asked him if he had ever thought of Job. So God was very proud of Job, and God said, Job is blameless, Job is upright, he fears God, and he avoids evil. So when God told Satan this, Satan pointed out that there must be a reason why Job was this way. Because to be honest, have you ever heard of someone who is so good, so obedient, so upright? Of course, except Jesus. But then Satan said, there's definitely a reason why Job is behaving this way. And Satan said, haven't you protected him? You've protected his household and everything he has. You have blessed the work of his hands so that his animals are spread throughout the land. It was like Satan was saying to God that God had blessed him, God had made him rich, God had blessed him with many children, given him many animals. But now, if you stretch out your hand and destroy everything he has, he will definitely curse you. So Satan was saying to God that, God, if you destroy what you have given him, if you take away all these good things he has, he will turn against you. And the Lord said to Satan, all right then, everything he has, all his sheep, all his cows, all his donkeys are in your power, but you must not lay a finger on him. You are not allowed to lay a finger on Job. So does anything seem strange to you about this? About what we've said? Okay, what seems strange to you? Yes, Ellen? Someone from online, please get ready to answer. So after Satan has accused Job, or rather said that Job would turn against God if God took everything away from him, then God said, all right then, you can do whatever you want with what he has. Does anything seem strange to you about that?
Titi is raising up her hand. Please go ahead.
Yes, please go ahead.
Job, what seems strange is that Job was upright, but the devil wanted Job to curse God and follow his own ways.
That's very true. Satan wanted to prove that Job was a sinner, that Job would still, do bad things and turn against God. And we'll see later on that Job was going to go through a lot of suffering and a lot of hard time. So when people have hard times in their lives, does it always mean that God is angry with them? Was God angry with Job? God, of course, God was not angry with Job. In fact, God was proud of Job. He was happy with Job. But then Job was going to, the devil was going to do whatever he wanted to Job. So it's not every time someone is going through something bad that God is angry with them. So after this conversation, Satan left God's presence. And so one day, when Job's children were feasting at their oldest brother's house, so they were having a party, they were having a good time, enjoying themselves, a messenger came to Job and told him that all his oxen and all his donkeys had been stolen while they were grazing in the field. And all the other servants also had been killed. And he was the only servant alive. He was the only one who could come back to tell Job this news. And while he was still speaking, while he was telling Job this message, another messenger came and told Job that fire came from the sky and burnt all the sheep and servants except him. So fire just fell from the sky and burnt all the sheep, all the 7,000 sheep that Job had. Then another messenger came and said that the Chaldeans, so these were a group of people, like how you would have Wolof, Mandinka, Aku. So the Chaldeans came in 3 groups. They attacked and stole all the camels. So remember that Job had 3,000 camels. So they came and stole everything. And they also killed all the servants who were taking care of those camels, except the one who came to tell this news. Once again, another servant came and told the very sad news, the saddest news of all, actually, that while Job's children were at their brother's house, feasting, a mighty wind, a strong wind, suddenly blew in from the desert and hit the house with a great force. It collapsed on them, and all Job's children died. And that servant was the only survivor. And that servant was the only survivor. Okay, so take note. Everything that Job had suddenly one by one been taken away. And it seems like it was all taken away in one day. How would you feel if you were Job? How would you feel? Just sad, upset, angry, Okay, someone would say, some people here said that they would feel sad, angry,
Okay,
and
Titi.
give up. Okay. Yes. Any answers from online?
I will feel upset because my children died.
I'll
Yes,
feel
that's
like
true.
it's the end of the world because I've lost everything. I've lost my children. I've lost my riches. I've lost my wealth. But something will still keep me happy, knowing that God is still with me.
Okay. So do you think that Job had those same emotions, feeling upset, giving up, that he has lost everything? Do you think Job felt that way? You're not answering me. Some people say yes, some people say no.
Yes.
I think, yes, that's true. Yes,
Yes.
I think Job had those emotions. And we can see from the picture that Job doesn't look quite happy. He does not look happy at all. And this was a huge, huge tragedy because he was a great man having so much wealth. And most important of all, his family is now gone. After hearing all of this, Job got up, tore his robe, and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground and worshipped God. He didn't fall to the ground and start screaming and saying, God, you've taken everything out from me. But he fell to the ground and worshipped God. And to worship God is to tell God how great he is. To worship God is to give him praise. To worship God is to say thank you to God. And he said, naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. That means naked I will go. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. So Job is saying, obviously, when babies are born, do they come with any clothes? Do they come with any 7,000 sheep? Do they come with children? No. And
No,
that's the same
Auntie.
way when people
No.
die, they go away alone. Pardon?
Everybody saying no.
No. Right. And so this is what Job was saying. He was saying, I came into this world naked and I will go away naked. The Lord has given and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised. Even with all this terrible news, Job did not sin by blaming God for all the bad things that had happened. So it's a sin to blame God for bad things that happened. But Job did not do that. Instead, he worshiped God. And as if that wasn't enough, once again, Satan was with God. And God told him how good a man Job was. So God was once again saying, wow, even with all of these things, Job did not sin against me. And Satan replied that a man would give all he has for his own life. So some people take their life so precious that they will give up anything just to stay alive. And he said that if his own body was affected, he would definitely curse God. He would definitely sin against God. And the Lord said, very well then, he is in your hands, but you must spare his life. So remember before, God said you must not touch Job. You can touch everything else he has, but don't touch him. So now God is saying you can touch Job. You can deal with Job. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and caused Job to have painful sores from his head to his feet. Sores are like boils, like open wounds on your skin. And they hurt him a lot, very painful, covering every inch of his body. Then Job took a piece of pottery, a piece of broken plate or broken ceramic, and scraped his skin with it as he sat among the ashes. So as Job was suffering, his wife asked him, are you still trying to be blameless and upright? Are you still trying to be a good man? Just curse God and die. You have gone through so much, you've suffered. Why don't you just end it all by cursing God and dying? But then he answered that she was speaking unwisely. She was speaking foolishly. And he asked her, should we accept good from God and not trouble? And remember, I said before that in this life, not everything will be perfect, right? Sometimes we get sick, and sometimes we're healthy. Sometimes we have what we want, and sometimes we don't. And that was what Job is saying here. And in all of this, Job did not sin in what he said. So Job did not say any bad word against God. Even though Job faced extreme hardships, he did not sin against God because he trusted God. He did not say bad things about him or blame him for all his troubles. And I don't know how many of you would remember this verse, but there's a verse in the Bible that says, God will never leave you nor forsake you. It doesn't mean that bad things will happen, but God will always be with you. So it is our job to trust in him. He gave a wonderful example for us that facing difficulty is not an excuse to sin. How many of you, when you were perhaps doing some homework, thought this homework is way too hard? I'm just going to cheat. I'm just going to copy from my friend. How many of us have thought of that? You may have thought of it. Okay. I see a few hands. Thank you for being honest. But Job shows us here that just because you are going through a difficult thing, just because everything isn't working for you, means you should sin against God. And even though he was good, righteous, and upright, he experienced a lot of pain and loss. Okay? So when people go through bad things in their life, it doesn't always mean they have sinned against God. And Job didn't allow his struggles to keep him from obeying God. Okay? Just think about it for a moment. Job went through so much pain, and yet he obeyed God, yet he worshiped God. So when we remember his example and choose to go through difficult times, we can have a positive impact on our families. We can show people around us that we still love God, we still trust in God, and it can even be an encouragement for someone else going through hard times, not so? The person may look at you and say, wow, they're still trusting in God, even though they have lost a loved one, or they've lost all their money, or they don't have a house anymore, or maybe they haven't been doing so well in school for one reason or another, but they haven't sinned, they haven't done anything wrong. And that can be an encouragement to someone else. So I would like us to pray this prayer. I'll actually like someone to read it out for us, and then we'll all follow in the prayer. It's a prayer for us to be like Job, okay? So someone from online, could you read it out for us? Just read it out in short bits so that we can all follow you.
Otaya, can you read it out loud for us?
Dear God, thank you that no matter what I go through, you are always with me. I pray that whenever I am going through a hard time and feeling a lot of pain, that I will still obey you and trust you. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
Yes.
Auntie Esther, so we will divide ourselves 5 minutes and just share what we have learned. Then we will pray before we share our song.
All right then.
We'll
Sure,
divide
let's go.
ourselves 5 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
So hello everybody one more time. I'm going to be looking at my list now. If you really want to share something you've learned today, just raise up your hand. I'll start with Max. If you want to share something you've learned, raise up your hand. I'll follow the hands. Max, please go ahead. What is one thing you have learned today?
I have learned today that in all things, even if we are suffering, we should trust God and know that He will come, that He will get a way through all our sufferings.
Thank you very much, Max, for sharing. Let's hear from Precious.
I learned that in any bad thing that happens, you should always thank God.
Always thank God. I want to hear what Eliane has to say. Eliane, what did you learn today? Eliane, what did you learn today? Okay, let's hear from Videts. Videts, what did you learn today?
I learned that you should obey God no matter what happens to you.
Yeah, we should obey God no matter what happens to us. Thank you. I see a hand. Okay, Adley, go ahead.
Whenever something bad happens to someone, it's not always that they did something wrong.
Whenever something bad, sometimes you'll be wondering, why is this person not seeing? Why did this person's mother or father die? Why did something bad happen to this person? Thank you very much, Adley, for sharing that. I see a name, Catherine or Catherine. Can you please share something you have learned? Catherine.
Take your card.
Okay.
I learned that even though you have suffering, you must not sin against God.
I learned that.
Please go ahead.
I learned that.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's hear from Nifemi and Ayodi.
It's Ayodi that wants to talk.
Ayo, go ahead. Ayodi, go ahead.
You need to go down.
And then no matter what happens, God has a plan for us.
No matter what happens, God has a plan for us. Thank you very much. Emmanuel, Joseph, and David, 1 minute.
Wake up. Wake up. China. Wake up. I was sleeping. Wake up. At least I woke up again.
Emmanuel, Joseph, and David, what did you learn?
Auntie, what did you say?
What did you learn today?
I learned that we should be upright and blameless like Job.
Upright and blameless like Job. Thank
And
you.
I learned that we should not blame God on anything that happens to us.
We should not blame God for anything that happened to us. Okay. Kamso, Chizi, and Somto, who wants to speak?
So I learned that even if Job suffered, he still obeyed God.
Even while Job was suffering, he still obeyed God. Chizi, do you want to say something? I think that'll be the last person. Our 5 minutes is up. Okay, Chizi. Okay, let's hear from Sheifumi.
I learned that you should, anytime you are down, you are like down, like you are poor. You should always thank God for life. You should not like swear or curse God because of this.
Thank you very much, Sheifumi. I still see Chizi and Emmanuel's hand up. 1 minute each. We're rounding up now. Chizi, go ahead. Okay, Chizi doesn't want to share. Emmanuel, your hand is still up. Okay, let's go to Titi. I think Chizzy and Emmanuel, their hands have been up since. Titi, go ahead. Or is that Dami?
I learned that when you can show people that you don't care about your riches, what you really care about is God, then people will also start giving their lives to Christ, knowing that you care to God.
Yeah, people can know Christ through you. Let others see Jesus. Okay.
I learned that we should be like Job. He was nice to God. So I learned that we should always be kind.
We should always be kind. Thank you very much, everybody. If you want to share more lessons, you can type it in the chat room. We have to pray now. Auntie Esther, please pick somebody in church to lead us in closing prayer before we share our song. Auntie Esther?
Yes, Auntie Tosin.
Let someone in church lead us in closing prayer before we share our
Okay.
song. Thank you.
All right, then. Abigail, come and pray for us, please.
Auntie.
All right, everyone, let's put our
Please share
hands
your
together and
lesson
close
in the
our
chat
eyes.
group. Lessons in the
Hands
chat
together,
group.
eyes closed. Abigail will pray for us, okay? Close your eyes. Close your eyes. All right, great. Pray about the story today, or you know.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Father God, thank you for helping us to understand what our teachers have taught us. Help us to remember what we have learned today. Help us to be like Job, blameless, honest, and kind. In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much, everybody. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop the